Welcome to Duke University's 168th commencement. Please direct your attention to the end of the field and welcome the Duke University class of 2021. Please rise and remain standing as we recognize the faculties of Duke University, the Duke University Administration, the members of the Board of Trustees, followed by the members of the Platform Party. Now, please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets and rockets, the bombs bursting and bursting, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I'm proud to start my career alongside you. In the long history of Duke, the class of 2021 is truly remarkable. Among you are the first youth ambassador to the USDA Task Force on Hunger, a volunteer firefighter, national champions in archery and kayaking, and a European champion chess master.
Everybody's life to think about what are my next steps, what can I do with this deep education.
Before COVID happened, I saw the strength of the class of 2021 just in all the great work they've done and the success that they brought to Duke University. But then when COVID came around, we all forced us to really persevere and get through that hard time. And I think we did it fantastically.
The word resiliency is forefront in these times where we've had to adapt, we've had to change, we've had to learn what it means to have community in times where we can't be physically there together all the time.
Last year, maybe it wasn't what we all were expecting, but I think it caused us to really come together in a way unlike others in class.
I think the biggest thing was
Let us pray together. God of all joy and gladness, we delight in the goodness and the glory of this day. We marvel at the wonders of your all-inclusive love that has welcomed us with arms extended as wide as the sky. We treasure that your love's embrace holds us as tightly as our dearest friend who refuses to stay 6 feet away. With the song of the breeze passing through trees and the tune of birds whistling in the wind, all creation joins this celebration. While masks may hide the smile on our faces, they surely do not obscure the delight and gratitude in our eyes. Gracious God, you know these years at Duke have been unlike anything we imagined. And yet you've brought us to this moment that commends the accomplishments that have earned degrees and marks the transition from student to alumni of dear old Duke. So we give you thanks for the celebrations and for the sorrows, and for all that has shaped us to become the people we are today. We acknowledge that just as our time at Duke has been filled with individual and collective successes, triumphs, breakthroughs, and discoveries, it has also included hardships and challenges, failed attempts and failures to attempt, dreams ended and dreams deferred. Create with the collection of these experiences something beautiful and beloved, something burgeoning with hope and possibility, something blooming with inspiration and imagination. Thanksgiving fills our hearts and minds as we remember all who've made the blessing and joy of today possible. We give you thanks that in your love for us, you have never left us alone on this Duke adventure. We thank you for all who've loved us, who've even loved our perfect imperfections. For all who most visibly supported us, family and friends, professors and peers, mentors and advisors of all kinds, we say thank you. For all those who are less seen but nevertheless supporting us, donors and dishwashers, trustees and housekeepers, university administrators and their support staff, workers with buildings and grounds and OIT, Durham community members, and so many more, for these we say thank you. For all those who've gone before us from this place to work for good, and for those who've marched with the torch and those who've run with it, we say thank you. Creating God, use the gratitude and blessing that fills us today as fertilizer for growing the seeds of global citizenship that have been planted within us. May we be honest and wise, courageous and compassionate, humble and hope-filled, justice pursuing and peacemaking, and ambassadors of truth and love our whole lives long as an expression of our gratitude to you. Make us ever a blessing to all those we encounter, as we strive to be part of a future more glorious even than the wonders of this new morning, this new beginning, this commencement day. Amen.
Good morning. Or as our very own commencement speaker sang in the opening lines of his 2008 Evolver, good morning. All right. Forgive me, John. Forgive me all. We're here together on this beautiful morning to celebrate the extraordinary accomplishments of the undergraduate class of 2021. And you know, I have a special bond with your class as you as new first-year students and I as a new president, arrived here at Duke together 4 years ago. So let me be the very first to say congratulations. And to your families and friends, thank you and welcome. To our honorary degree recipients and special guests, welcome to Duke's 168th annual, well, almost annual, commencement exercises. Yes. Now, to our graduates, I suspect for you and your family and friends as well, you will remember this morning, the morning of your 1,348th day as Duke students for the rest of your lives. And it's already been a busy day. Google tells me that at approximately 6:21 and 28 seconds, the sun rose somewhere over East Union, just as it did that day that you arrived on East Campus for move-in 4 years ago. It followed the winding path of Campus Drive, making the same trip you did countless times on the C1 or C2. A few moments later, light greeted the birds flitting from branch to branch in the gardens. It shone through the windows of the Broadhead Center, cast gem-light beams through the stained glass in the chapel, and illuminated this stadium where we're gathered for this glorious morning, this new beginning, this joyful commencement. And it's no coincidence that we host Duke's commencements in the morning. You know, for one thing, it's usually the coolest part of the day. And the first Sunday in May here in North Carolina can sometimes be a scorcher. Today is fortunately an exception. But I can tell you, and faculty can tell you, these robes do not exactly breathe. But there's also a deeper and more profound reason for meeting as we do in the morning. Commencement, as the name suggests, is not an end, but a beginning. Today we celebrate not the end of your careers at Duke, your graduation from Duke, but the beginning of your careers as Duke alumni. To put it another way, today is not the twilight of your life at Duke, it's the morning of the very extraordinary lives you have ahead. So in that spirit of beginning, we gather to celebrate this day, one that's made all the more joyful as we mark the slow return of normal life amidst the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. For a number of you, this commencement is the long-awaited start of a career that you've been working toward since you arrived here. And you set off from this moment with renewed purpose and promise. Others are headed to graduate school. Some will go off to serve your country or community. Some to a well-deserved rest, just to take in the lay of the land before setting off on new adventures. Each of you will celebrate many commencements to come in one form or another, and will likely find that the twisting path of life leads to unexpected new beginnings, that each new dawn can break over wild and wonderful new landscapes. Now, of course, life won't always be a celebration of these new beginnings. As much as your families, your friends, faculty members, and I wish it were not the case, and no matter how well Duke has prepared you for what comes next, you will undoubtedly encounter some darker days and nights. And this class has perhaps already experienced more than your share, particularly in the uncertainty and the distress of the pandemic. But as the great bard of the Belle Epoque, Victor Hugo, put it, even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. Or for the music majors among you, in the words of the equally great bards of the 70s jazz rock fusion Steely Dan, as any major dude will tell you, when the demon is at your door in the morning, it won't be there no more. So the class of 2021 rises this morning to a new day. Just as you've risen with purpose and passion to seek the opportunities of life at Duke, you've made lasting contributions and you've left your mark on every corner of campus, from East Campus to the Gardens to the Broadhead Center to the chapel. And now you mark this glorious morning where we greet you for the first time as Duke alumni. We're proud to be with you here at the beginning, and we can't wait to see where you go from here. Congratulations to the great class of 2021. At Duke, we have a long tradition of beginning the commencement exercises with a student voice. Each spring, a panel of Duke students, faculty, and staff selects a member of your graduating class to be our student speaker. And this year, in a very competitive process, conducted for the first and, quite honestly, hopefully the last time by Zoom, the panel selected Meghana Iragavarapu. Meghna is graduating from Trinity College of Arts and Sciences. And as a Robertson Scholar with a keen interest in how food dictates health, Meghna designed a Program 2 major at the intersection of food availability, nutrition, and health outcomes. She's studied these vitally important issues around the world, including in New Orleans, Buenos Aires, and Fiji. And she served neighbors here in our own hometown as a volunteer at the Lincoln Community Health Center in Durham. Meghna has also taken a keen interest in Indian classical music and has served as president of the Sangeet student group for the past 2 years. After graduation, Meghna hopes to pursue a career as a primary care physician. In the coming weeks, she will join the staff at the Vascular Anomalies Center at Harvard Medical School's Children's Hospital as a clinical research assistant. Please join me in welcoming Meghna Raghavarapu, our 2021 student speaker.
All right, here goes. I asked and got permission to do that if I was feeling nervous. So if you can't tell, I'm a little nervous. That was from Megatron, and my name is Meghna, and it is wonderful to be here. This is not normal. I think the last time that Duke felt normal, I was wearing a kangaroo suit. I was waving the stuffed Joey or baby kangaroo that came with the costume and screaming at the top of my lungs as Duke beat UNC in Cameron Indoor Stadium. I was truly only micrometers away from my other kangaroo friends as we celebrated weeks of tenting and a much anticipated victory. That feeling of being one part of a collective community is how I like to think we started off our journey. It was August of 2017 when all 1,700 students of the first-year undergraduate class had to squeeze into a painted white outline of 2021 on the East Campus quad grass. All of us, shoulder to shoulder, exchanging innumerable microbes, most definitely breathing, coughing, and sneezing on each other's faces. It is so crazy to me that in that first moment when we were all so physically close, we had no idea of the stories, personalities, and friendships waiting for us. And today, after 4 years of trying and celebratory moments, we share an emotional closeness, although physically apart. And I've been thinking a lot about how we got from there to here. So regardless of our 3 to 6 feet distance, I really hope you'll join me in my reminiscence. Do you all remember Price Palooza? In just the first couple weeks at Duke, we were spoiled with shrimp cocktail ice sculptures, a Ferris wheel, and state fair-worthy fried Oreos. My friends, now turned best friends, and I even got matching temporary tattoos of President Price's face. Together, we migrated to West Campus, reveling in the abundance of food points, toiled through sophomore slump, tented, went abroad, secured internships, and then suddenly, in March of 2020, received a slew of emails that ended our junior spring and residential Duke campus experience as we'd known it. Now, I would like to offer a heartfelt shout out to severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, colloquially known as COVID. We were scattered, spread all across the world. Some of us back at home, some of us stuck on campus, some of us unable to fly to our families. And our trusty companion through it all, Zoom Technologies, struggled to single-handedly maintain our relationships, projects, and futures we worked so hard to build. Our community, once catalyzed by repeated experiences of physical proximity, grew virally instead. As we returned to classes in the fall, we faced a semester like no other. Instead of those mystery illnesses contracted at shooters, we collectively suffered from screen fatigue and social deprivation. Let's grab a meal turned into, I will send you my meeting link at 12, and group projects turned into, now joining breakout room 2. And it is quite important to note here that we, the class of 2021, had it way harder than the class of 2020, no matter what Zoom memes for self-quarantines had to say. I like to think that this change in course introduced a new required course, Cove Ed. This course was novel, if you will, a class with no defined syllabus, assignments, some definite testing, and an abundance of stress. COVID provided a stellar education. Maybe not necessarily through the time quizzes over Sakai or the classes I know I turned my video off for. And the course objectives were not clear until recently, but for me turned out to be character and community. A favorite quote of mine by spiritual leader Satya Sai sums up the first. The end of wisdom is freedom. The end of culture is perfection. The end of knowledge is love. And the end of education is character. Over our 4 years, especially these last 2, we were forced to learn how to take care of ourselves, how to make trying sacrifices, how to set boundaries, how to ask for help, and how to care for one another. Over our 4 years, we built character. And by no means is our education complete, but thinking back to my first-year self, I now feel more resilient. Maybe it's the antibodies, or possibly the experience that Duke embodies. And now to community. Have you noticed that after delivering stern instructions and updates on COVID violations, our administrators still sign emails, "Go Duke"? Why? Because through the ups and downs, the good decisions and the bad decisions, whether we are shoulder to shoulder or not, we will truly always be a Duke something. A Duke student, a Duke alum, a Duke community. A group of people united through common struggles with similar stories, bonding people together over time, no matter the distance. I now believe that Duke is not only the swarm of facts that helped us move in as first years, the unbelievable oatmeal at Div Cafe, or my forever fear of any siren meaning a tent check. It is the higher standard of character we hold ourselves and each other to, creating this one-of-a-kind community that bleeds deep blue. Today, we may not be packed like sardines on the East Campus quad or screaming in Cameron's student section. And while the required space between us has grown, I like to think it is filled and will continue to fill With all of our accomplishments, learnings, and identities, we will build. Class of 2021, I would have never wanted to paint my face white and blue, make it through the 1 p.m. lunch rush in Woo, or stick white plastic Q-tips up my nose every week with anyone else but you. Thank you, and a heartfelt congratulations.
Well, thank you, Meghna, for those inspiring words. I am now pleased to declare the 2021 commencement open for the awarding of honorary degrees. Duke University awards honorary degrees to recognize extraordinary achievement and service to the world. The candidates for honorary degrees have been enthusiastically approved by the faculty and by the Board of Trustees. Each will be accompanied by a faculty or trustee sponsor. And to today's recipients, we know that your example will inspire our graduates to pursue careers of equal principle and purpose. We welcome you to our university community, and we're proud to call you Dukies. I now invite Thavolia Glimpf, Professor of History and Law, to accompany to the podium Barbara Arnwine, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws. Attorney Barbara Arnwine is president and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition and an internationally renowned scholar. She's known for her contributions to critical justice issues, including the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1991 and the 2006 reauthorization of provisions of the Voting Rights Act. She is a vocal advocate for equitable practices in a wide range of areas, including voting rights, the rights of women and immigrants, judicial diversity, criminal justice reform, racial profiling, healthcare disparities, and LGBTQIA equality. Ms. Arnwine has for decades been at the forefront of advocacy for diversity programs and the preservation of affirmative action. She has served as executive director of the National Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, a group founded by John F. Kennedy. And she organized the National Conference on African American Women and the Law. She serves as co-chair and facilitator of the National Commission for Voter Justice and the Voting Rights Alliance, and is on the boards of directors of Moms Rising and the African American Policy Forum. Ms. Arnwine earned a Bachelor of Arts from Scripps College and a Juris Doctor from Duke, where she was one of the first African American female students at Duke Law. In addition to numerous awards and honors, she was most recently recognized by the National Bar of the SCLC of Southern California for her work on voting rights. Barbara, for your extraordinary advocacy for equality and justice, I am delighted to confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws. I now invite Marion Broom, Dean of the Duke University School of Nursing, Ruby F. Wilson Professor of Nursing, and Vice Chancellor for Nursing Affairs, to accompany to the podium Jacqueline Campbell, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Jacqueline Campbell, the Anna D. Wolf Chair and Professor in the Johns Hopkins School of Nursing, is a renowned scholar of domestic and intimate partner violence. In her career, Dr. Campbell has authored 7 books and more than 300 publications, served as principal investigator for nearly 20 major grants, and has been elected to the National Academy of Medicine and the American Academy of Nursing. Dr. Campbell's path-breaking work on domestic partner homicide and collaboration with survivors of intimate family violence have greatly improved the Academy's understanding of these pressing problems. She co-authored, or co-chaired rather, the steering committee that designed and launched the World Health Organization Domestic Violence and Health Study, recognizing intimate partner violence as a global health problem for the first time. These efforts and her advocacy for victims and survivors of domestic violence have saved countless or improved countless lives around the world. Dr. Campbell received her BSN from Duke in 1968, and we're proud to call her a Duke alumna. Her son, daughter, and son-in-law are also alumni, and her granddaughter, Grace, is a member of the class of 2024. Jackie, for your groundbreaking scholarship and steadfast advocacy for victims of violence, I am delighted to confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Thanks, Mary. I now invite the Honorable Allison Duncan, Duke University trustee, to accompany to the podium Evelyn Higginbotham, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Evelyn Higginbotham, the Victor S. Thomas Professor of History and African American Studies at Harvard University, has transformed the study of African American history through her research and theoretical work. As a theoretician, Dr. Higginbotham coined the terms meta-language of race and politics of respectability, both of which have inspired a robust body of scholarship in history, African American studies, cultural criticism, and a number of other fields. She was also an enormously influential author. Her groundbreaking book on the women's movement in the Black Baptist Church, Righteous Discontent, won prizes from the American Historical Association and the American Academy of Religion. She co-authored with John Hope Franklin a revised version of From Slavery to Freedom, and co-edited the 12-volume African American National Biography. She currently serves as president of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, and in 2015, she received the National Humanities Medal from President Barack Obama. I'm also delighted to share that Dr. Higginbotham is not new to our campus. She was previously the inaugural visiting John Hope Franklin Professor of American Legal History at Duke Law. Evelyn, for your profound contributions to the study of history and of African American experience, I am delighted to confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. I now invite Tim Profeta, Associate Professor of the Practice in the Sanford School of Public Policy and Director of the Nicholas Institute for Environmental Policy Solutions, to accompany to the podium William Riley, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Bill Riley is among the most accomplished and committed environmental advocates in recent American history. Mr. Riley has been a trusted environmental advisor to several U.S. presidents. He served as administrator of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency from 1989 to 1993, during which time he led efforts to pass a new Clean Air Act and headed the U.S. delegation to the UN Conference on Environment and Development. Before joining the EPA, he was executive director of the Rockefeller Task Force on Land Use and Urban Growth, president of the Conservation Foundation, and president of the World Wildlife Fund. He has also been a visiting professor at Stanford and Yale Universities and senior advisor to TPG Capital. President Obama appointed him co-chair of the National Commission on the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill and to the President's Global Development Council, for which he headed the working group on climate-smart food security. Throughout his career, Mr. Riley has advocated for sustainable policy solutions that protect our environment. We're fortunate then that he currently serves as chairman of the Board of Advisors for the Nicholas Institute for Environmental Policy Solutions here at Duke. Bill, for your many, many contributions to environmental policy and for your leadership of the Nicholas Institute, I am delighted to confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
Thank you so very much.
I now invite John Brown, Professor of the Practice of Music and Vice Provost for the Arts, to accompany to the podium John Legend, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. And I will note that John is serving double duty today, both as our final honorary degree recipient and as our commencement speaker. Duke University has hosted many commencement speakers who have made transformational contributions to medicine, business, politics, sports, culture, and the arts. But I believe I'm right in saying that John Legend is our first EGOT winner. And for those of you who don't know, that's a big deal. It means John has won an Emmy, a Grammy, 12 actually, an Oscar, and a Tony. And today, John, we're proud to offer you a Dookie, which will make you the first DGOT. After completing high school at the age of 16 and graduating magna cum laude from the University of Pennsylvania, John went on to a career as a piano virtuoso and multi-platinum selling musician. He's released 7 critically acclaimed albums. Among his 26 charting songs, his 2013 single, All of Me, dedicated to his wife, Chrissy Teigen, is tied for the highest certified track in the Recording Industry Association of America's history. In addition to his Grammys, He won an Academy Award for his song Glory in the movie Selma. An Emmy Award for his lead performance in NBC's Jesus Christ Superstar. And a Tony Award for bringing August Wilson's Jitney to Broadway. In 2019, he joined NBC's The Voice as coach. In addition to his extraordinary career in music and the performing arts, John is a committed and a vocal advocate for criminal justice reform and diversity in entertainment. He founded the National Free America campaign in 2015 to drive the conversation on criminal justice reform, an advocate for an end to mass incarceration. And as co-founder of the Get Lifted Film Company, he's produced a number of award-winning films with a particular focus on injustices faced by the Black community and giving voice to underrepresented communities. John serves on the boards of directors of Harlem Village Academies and Management Leadership for Tomorrow, and on the advisory boards for Teach for All and the Quattrone Center for the Fair Administration of Justice at the University of Pennsylvania Carey School of Law. John, for your extraordinary contributions to arts and for your advocacy for justice and equity for all, I am delighted to present you with this honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I guess I'll
leave that here. This is my speech right here. Good morning, Duke. Or as sung by President Vincent Price from my 2008 album, Evolver, good morning. Good morning, Duke. How's everybody? Thank you, President Price, Provost Kornbluth, to the deans, the faculty, to my host, John Brown. Thank you all for inviting me and including me in this venerable class, not only of amazing graduates out here, but incredible, groundbreaking, honorary degree recipients. It's an honor to be here. To all the Duke community, alumni, friends, faculty, family, whether you're tuning in from Durham or across the world, welcome. And most importantly, thankfully, blissfully, let me extend a big, in the flesh, congratulations to our guests of honor, the class of 2021. What a day, what a year, what an accomplishment. Congratulations, DDMF. You know, I'm feeling good today because this is the first time I've been in front of a live audience, hearing live applause since last February, 14 months ago. For a needy performer like myself, this is a very big deal. It feels very nice. Thank you for the love. I needed it. My wife has been exhausted. But this is not my first time on your beautiful campus. Way back in 2004, I performed at LDOC with someone named Kanye West. You guys heard of him? In those days, I would play piano and sing the hooks for Kanye and hope that people would notice me. And then later that year, we released my first album, Get Lifted, And I'm realizing today that maybe it's thanks to Duke that my career took off. I wouldn't be an EGOT winner, a DGOT winner without Duke. And I'm thrilled it's brought me full circle back to speak to you on this very momentous day. Seriously, this is a special milestone for all of you. And if you don't feel it yet, that's okay. When I was prepping for my own graduation way back in 1999, were you guys alive then? Barely. I remember feeling pretty indifferent. Back then I was too cool to care about this silly ceremony. I'd already done the work, I'd already made the friends, I'd turned in my papers and passed my tests. What was the point of all this pomp and circumstance? But during the actual ceremony, I realized that being together is the point. Being joyous is the point. Celebrating is the point. We have so few moments to enjoy these rites of passage, to just revel in our accomplishments with the people we love. Today is one of those moments. And of course, after a year when we could barely gather at all, it takes on a special meaning. Let's just acknowledge the elephant in the stadium. On your way to Wallace Wade, your class lost a lot. Some lost job offers, some lost loved ones. And all of you lost a whole year of those little moments that make college so special, the in-between moments. Those late nights in Perkins, sitting across the table from your delirious friends. Those talks in the common room or spontaneous lunch dates. Those weeks camping out in the freezing cold for tickets to a sports game, because apparently we do that here. Those nights dancing around burning benches after you win, because apparently that's a thing we also do here. But all this loss is no joke. I keep thinking about your senior performances. Losing those would have been tragic for me. All of you band members and a cappella singers and dancers and improv aficionados, I feel your pain. You've lost something that you won't get back. I won't sugarcoat that. It sucks. But from what you've lost, from all this vast, incalculable loss, you've also gained something. The fact that you're here today, graduates of one of the world's greatest universities, means that you've had to approach life with a certain competitiveness. I know, because I did it too. I skipped grades to get ahead. I worked hard to graduate second in my high school class, went to Penn, graduated and got a job as a management consultant at Boston Consulting Group. Yes, I did that too. And that path required this constant drive to push harder, reach higher, do better, to try to be perfect or close to it. I'm sure that sounds familiar to a lot of you. But over the past year, you were forced to pause, to see yourselves not just in competition with one another, but in community with each other. Anyone getting sick was a risk to everyone. We all had to slow down, social distance, cover our faces, stop filling our days with maximum productivity, and simply keep each other safe, keep each other alive, care for one another. And this perspective you gained will serve us all, because while that competitive drive that got you here can be an incredible gift, it can get in the way too. We all know that for Duke to win, UNC must, I think we say GTH. Is that right? Okay. But that competitiveness can be a slippery slope to thinking, for me to get ahead in life, for me to succeed, someone else is going to have to lose out. Someone else is going to have to suffer. And you let that competitiveness take over your thinking, and you might start seeing life as a zero-sum game. This kind of thinking has poisoned our democracy from the beginning. One of the most important books I read this year was by a friend of mine named Heather McGhee. It's called The Sum of Us. In it, Heather lays out exactly how much that zero-sum game has cost us. America's story has always been marred by efforts to exclude, to dominate, to subjugate, to keep certain groups of people with no voice, no power, and no opportunity. Workers, women, indigenous people, black people, immigrants, the LGBTQ community, all because of a fear that if those people did better, somebody else would have to lose. But the miracle of our story is that as we expanded opportunity in our best moments, we proved that those fears were unfounded. When more people made more money, rich business owners didn't suffer, they got more customers. Prosperity increased for everybody. When people who'd been excluded finally got their voices heard, it didn't mean everyone else had to sit down and shut up. Our national conversations got better, richer, truer, smarter, and so did our public policies. Our nation is at its best when we realize that we all do better when we all do better. Yet today, we're still fighting against that old zero-sum thinking that's been holding us back since the beginning. We see it in efforts to deny people their right to vote. We see it in the shameful recent attacks on trans rights. We see it around the world, across the globe. Nativism, sectarianism, exploitation, and authoritarianism are gaining ground. We see it in efforts to hoard economic opportunity. Today, the 26 wealthiest people on the planet own as much as the 3.5 billion poorest. And powerful people are spending lots of money lobbying to keep it that way. And of course, we also see it in our policing and our carceral systems, in the simple fact that so many people heard Black Lives Matter and assumed it meant that other lives couldn't matter also. That's zero-sum thinking, if I've ever seen it. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, yes, why is John Legend bringing us down on graduation day? You wouldn't be the first to say something like that. I've been hearing calls to shut up and sing for my entire career. Shut up and sing. Okay. Well, as North Carolina native Nina Simone once said, it is an artist's duty to reflect the times in which we live. And it's also a banker's duty, a lawyer's duty, a doctor's duty, a teacher's duty, an engineer's duty, an entrepreneur's duty, a plumber's duty, a nurse's duty, a mom's, a dad's duty. Class of 2021, Duke has poured all kinds of tools and resources and experiences into you. And I am asking you today to use them on behalf of our democracy, to remember just how interdependent each of us is on each other, to build communities that are healthier and safer for everyone, where everyone can live up to their full potential. But how do we do that in practice? It's a tough question. When I was in high school, I entered a Black History Month essay contest sponsored by McDonald's. Yes, McDonald's. The prompt was, how you make Black history. With a 15-year-old's confidence, I declared that I would become a famous musician. Yes. This, in turn, I wrote, and I'm quoting myself here, will put me in a position of great influence which I will utilize in order to be an advocate for the advancement of Blacks in America. I said that when I was 15. But how does one do that? The problems are entrenched and interconnected. There's no clear path to follow. I kept thinking, where do I even start? During the decade since I became heavily involved in this fight, I've stumbled on 3 answers that I'm going to share with you today. First, while your schooling may be over, at least for some of you, the learning does not stop today. It cannot. Growing up, I spent a lot of time at the library. I read about Dr. Martin Luther King and other civil rights heroes, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells. I wasn't into comic books so much. These were my superheroes. But even as someone steeped in the civil rights movement all my life, if you would have asked me about criminal justice when I was sitting where you all are today, I probably would have framed it as a personal responsibility issue. I think that's pretty common for those of us who've spent our lives trying to be perfect. I thought the problem was with individuals, not the system. I had family members and I had community members, neighbors, friends who were locked up. They messed up, and I found a way not to. But then I learned about our country's mass incarceration complex, how the United States has just 5% of the world's population, but 25% of its prisoners. How 1 in 3 black men will serve prison time during their lifetimes. How more black men are under corrective control today than were enslaved on the eve of the Civil War. How much of this over-incarceration is a direct result of intentional policies that targeted people of color? Take the war on drugs. Our leaders said they'd wage war on drugs. But crises of substance abuse and drug addiction haven't gone anywhere. Instead, this war destroyed communities. It tore apart families. All of us have borne the brunt of that, especially black and brown communities. We already suffered from housing and school segregation, massive wealth disparities, chronic underinvestment. Then these communities were specifically targeted for enforcement, even though black, white, and brown people use drugs at roughly similar rates. And now, what should have been a public and mental health issue has turned into an excuse to disappear millions of people from their families and communities. The more I read about all this trauma and tragedy, the more I understood the systemic issues, the more passionate I got about doing something to change it. So I started Free America, a campaign to reform our deeply unjust criminal justice system. And the first thing we did was listen and learn. I met with people currently incarcerated. I met with their families. I met with survivors of crime. I met with district attorneys, corrections officers, state legislators, and civil rights activists. These folks knew a lot more than I did. I had to listen to them with an open mind and a humble spirit, and then focus on amplifying their voices. Only then could we effectively support crucial reforms, like initiatives to decriminalize drugs, find alternatives to incarceration, and restore voting rights to formerly incarcerated people. It's been some of the most gratifying work of my life, but it never would have happened if I simply considered myself already educated on these issues and stopped my learning there. So that's lesson number 1. Here's number 2. I think it's natural to think you should start by tackling big problems in the biggest way. They say, go big or go home. But in my experience, some of the most important work you can do starts at home, whatever that means for you. So often we focus on major national issues, and don't get me wrong, they matter. National elections matter. But municipal, county, school board elections determine so much of the everyday realities of our lives. Who lives where? Who goes to school where? Do we all feel safe walking down the street? George Floyd's murder mobilized a national and even global movement for change. But the truth is, most of the tangible reforms we need to reimagine public safety will come from local elected officials, the mayors and city councils setting budgets, the prosecutors deciding how justice will be served. And that's not just true for criminal justice reform. Local nonprofits, local organizers know their communities, and they know what they need in order to fight hunger and homelessness and violence in their local area. And I know some of you are about to move to a new community, each with its own unique historical context and social fabric. And just as many of you moved to Durham 4 years ago and adopted this city as your own, I hope you'll learn about your new home's past, present, and future. Find its change makers and boundary breakers, and bring your own unique gifts to the table to engage in the real, tangible bettering of your community. There is wisdom, strength, and power in community. You've learned that here at Duke, but don't forget it as you build community elsewhere. And third, when you feel lost in this tangled web of problems, know that in truth, the way out of it is simple, it's instinctual. It's called love. Love should be your North Star. Let it guide you. Now, I love to sing about love, as you know. And maybe this sounds more like song lyrics than a serious point, but I believe that love is so important in our public life. Think about what it actually means to let yourself feel and show love for your neighbors. It means being curious about their lives, genuinely wanting the best for them, investing in their success. And once we recognize our interdependence, our mutuality, it's clear that love is precisely what our society needs. To look out for each other, to take care of each other. There are nearly 8 billion people on this planet, 8 billion strangers. What does it mean to love the people we don't even know? It means letting go of fear and embracing our shared humanity. Practically, it means things like ensuring everyone, everywhere, can access the coronavirus vaccines, because we know that until we're all vaccinated, we're all at risk. It means ensuring everyone is safe from the worst consequences of the climate crisis, especially in communities already undermined, under-resourced, and underwater. To paraphrase the Indigenous Australian activist Lila Watson, love means that your liberation is bound up with mine, and mine with yours. Professor Cornel West has a word for what this kind of love looks like in public. That word is justice. Love in public takes the shape of justice. And I'll close with one final story about justice. It's about a man named Desmond Meade. He grew up in Miami, Florida, graduated from high school, joined the Army. He served this country as a helicopter mechanic, dreaming of one day sailing the skies as a pilot. But along the way, he struggled with a painful addiction, and he was convicted of felony possession. He served his time and came out committed to staying clean. But when he came out, he re-entered a world that treated him as a loser in a zero-sum game, that didn't care if it was impossible for him to find a job or a home or a second chance. He also re-entered a state that denied him the right to vote. State laws discriminating against formerly incarcerated people are direct vestiges of Jim Crow. After the amendments granting voting rights and equal protection to black citizens after the Civil War, the white majority feared the power of the black vote and found many ways to limit it. Physical violence, poll taxes, ridiculous literacy tests, and felony disenfranchisement. The plan was to incarcerate black Americans for petty theft, loitering, vagrancy, and then disenfranchise them, often permanently. This way, they barred millions from the full rights of citizenship. Today, still, an estimated 1 in 13 black Americans has been stripped of their right to vote due to past convictions. Now, it's hard to reverse these laws. It requires a constitutional amendment in a lot of places. In some states, it requires a popular referendum. In Florida, it wasn't just a ballot initiative requiring 51% of the vote, you needed 60%. And in an evenly divided state like Florida, that seemed impossible. Only love can give you the power to take on these kinds of odds. Love of the people you're fighting with, love of the people you're trying to persuade, the basic belief that if we can honor each other's humanity and dignity, then no matter our differences, we'll end up wanting the best for each other. Desmond Meade got sober. He went to law school, and filled with great love, indomitable optimism, and audacious hope, he launched a campaign to take on those odds. We partnered with him at Free America. We shared people's stories. We asked neighbors to talk with their neighbors. We knocked on doors. And when the time came, we didn't win 60% of the vote. We won 65% of the vote. We passed a constitutional amendment that restored voting rights to more than 1.4 million Floridians. A year later, I stood in a Florida courthouse as a judge made it official for a room full of formerly incarcerated people. Some of these people hadn't voted in decades and hadn't really felt connected to their communities at all since their incarceration. But many said that this one moment made them feel like they fully belonged again, like they were part of something bigger. They were in tears celebrating, and so was I. And so was Desmond, this veteran, this former bodyguard, this calm, cool, and collected attorney with tears running down his cheeks. Duke Class of 2021, I wish you lives with Desmond's kind of love. Love for our neighbors and for people who feel like they're a world apart. Love for justice, defined by a spirit of empathy, mutuality, and community. Love for a world where we don't need to win at someone else's expense, even if they're Tar Heels. Where we can win together. We can do this, Class of 21. And when we live with this kind of love, when we lead with this kind of love, then one day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory. Thank you so much, Duke. Congratulations. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for those thoughtful, inspiring, wonderful remarks. We're so thrilled that you're a part of the Duke University family. I think it's fair to say we are all officially on Team Legend.
As Chief Academic Officer of the university, I have the honor of declaring this convocation now open for the recognition of our graduates. As they are called, I invite the deans of the schools and the college to present the candidates. I now call on Marion Broom, Dean of the School of Nursing.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present exceptional candidates for graduation from the School of Nursing. These candidates, like all other students at Duke, pivoted last March into virtual learning. However, they also bravely entered clinical agencies and community in need for the next year to complete their professional nursing education. They will be approved by their faculty as having completed all the requirements for the Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
Marion, as you look ahead to your retirement this summer, I want to recognize you for your tremendous leadership of our School of Nursing. And may I ask all of those who will be graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing to please rise. And now, by the authority vested in me, and upon approval by the Academic Council and university trustees, you will receive these degrees in the School of Nursing. I welcome you to the company of those who apply their knowledge and compassion to provide skillful care. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. I now call on Toddy Steelman, Dean of the Nicholas School of the Environment.
Thank you, Provost Kornbluth, for this important opportunity to honor and recognize candidates for bachelor degrees that will be awarded by the Pratt School or the Trinity College to students who have majored in courses of study in the Nicholas School of the Environment. Will those majors please stand? Mr. President, I am thrilled to present these ocean protecting, climate safeguarding, energy conserving, health enhancing, water sustaining, environmental justice seeking, world changing candidates who have completed majors offered by the Nicholas School, and in doing so have demonstrated their commitment to understanding, preserving, and protecting our environment.
I am delighted to recognize you and look forward to granting your degrees. I welcome you to the work of understanding and protecting our natural world. Congratulations.
Graduates, you may be seated. I now call upon Judith Kelly, Dean of the Sanford School of Public Policy.
By the power totally not vested in me, I would like to confer an additional honorary doctorate, not truly for real, in public policy to John Legend. Thank you, Provost Kornbluth, for giving me a chance to recognize the purposeful candidates who are going to be getting their degrees from the Pratt School or the Trinity College for having completed their degrees in public policy. Recalling the words of our founder and Duke President Terry Sanford, who urged all Duke students to stand for something. Even if it defeats you, he said, stand for something. Will the candidates for degrees in public policy please take a stand? Mr. President, I am pleased to present to you these candidates who have completed all of their requirements, done all of their decision trees, done all of their cost-benefit analysis, et cetera, and completed the requirements for graduating with a degree in public policy, and thereby demonstrated grit, courage, and their commitment to stand for a life of public service. Thank you.
I am delighted to recognize you and look forward to granting your degrees. I welcome you to the company of all those who seek to transform ideas and policies for our greater good. Congratulations.
Graduates, you may be seated. I now call upon Ravi Bellamkonda, Dean of the Pratt School of Engineering.
It's an emotional moment for more reasons than one, as some of you know. Will the candidates for the Pratt School of Engineering please rise? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the hardest working, the most inventive candidates of the Pratt School of Engineering who are designing our future and shaping it in the vision that you just inspired us to, Mr. Legend, who will be approved by the faculty as having completed all the requirements for the degree of the Bachelor of Science in Engineering.
Thank you, Ravi. And as you move on to serve as provost of Emory University, let me thank you for your extraordinary leadership as dean of our Pratt School of Engineering. And now, by the authority vested in me and upon approval by the Academic Council and university trustees, you will receive these degrees from the Pratt School of Engineering. I welcome you as you join those building our future and pioneering new paths for technology. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. Well, last but certainly not least, I call on Valerie Ashby, Dean of Trinity College of Arts and Sciences.
Thank you, Provost Kornbluth. Will the candidates for Trinity College of Arts and Sciences please rise? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the extremely excited and exceptionally talented candidates of Trinity College who will be approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. Congratulations.
By the authority vested in me, and upon approval by the Academic Council and University trustees, you will receive these degrees in Trinity College of Arts and Sciences. I welcome you as you embark on careers to pursue knowledge and serve the world, as John Legend has asked us to do. Congratulations to all of you. Again, congratulations, graduates. I am so honored to welcome you into the community of Duke alumni. And as Duke graduates, you are well prepared for a life of principled leadership. And in a society that is both increasingly connected and sadly increasingly divided, you will have a greater opportunity than ever to make meaningful change in the world. But remember, you are not going it alone. We're all fortunate to be part of a community of extraordinary people, of accomplishment and purpose, connected by our shared values. A global Duke family that now numbers hundreds of thousands strong, and we rely upon each other for intellectual challenge and for fellowship and the encouragement to excel. Wherever life takes you from here, whether near campus or a world away, Duke will always, always be your home. Congratulations to our great class of 2021. And now, as we close this ceremony, please join me and our student ensemble in singing our alma mater, Dear Old Duke.
Dear old Duke, thy name we'll sing. To thee our voices raise, we'll raise. To thee our anthems ring. Everlasting praise. And though on life's broad sea
For everyone's safety, students, please remain seated until dismissed by the university marshals. For everyone's safety, students, please remain seated until dismissed by the university marshals. For everyone's safety, students, please remain seated until dismissed by the university marshals.
Surf's Up, class of 2021.
G'day from Sydney, Australia.
Hello from Vietnam.
Greetings from Vermont. Congratulations from Oregon.
From Seattle. And Maui, Hawaii.
From Northern Michigan.
From India.
From sunny Miami-Dade.
From halfway around the world.
Waco, Texas. Just want to congratulate the Duke class of 2021.
It's amazing because it seems like it was just yesterday that you got confirmation that you got into Duke.
I still remember 4 years ago when we sent you to Durham and moved you into Brown. It was hot.
4 years ago, we dropped you into this idyllic setting. Who would have imagined what would happen to the world and how you'd be forced to navigate so many unprecedented realities?
You all have shown great fortitude in enduring what has to be the strangest academic year that Duke has ever had in its nearly 200-year history.
You endured the toughest time to be a college student since World War II. It can only make you stronger.
You've been tested in ways no other Duke class has ever been tested, and you have passed that test.
It's been an incredibly hard year, but you made it through, and you're stronger for it.
Crazy year, great finish, well done.
And your strength and grace have been a shining light and an inspiration to us all.
Proud doesn't begin to describe how I feel. You've worked so hard, tried so many new things.
You have made many friends and accomplished so much.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you.
We are so happy and immensely proud of you.
We're so proud of you.
We're so proud of you.
I'm beyond just being proud.
We are so proud of you and can't believe that these 4 years have gone so fast.
We also want to thank Duke for giving her such an incredible, wonderful college experience.
We thank Duke for providing great learning environment.
Duke has also taught you to help others selflessly, just as they have helped you navigate your journey.
Continue to keep the Duke name high by your words and your actions.
And because I know you just love getting advice from your mom, I'll just say, keep doing what you've been doing.
It's your time to show the world what you're made of.
Be courageous, be empathetic, and express gratitude.
Fitting in is overrated.
Be true to yourself, follow your passions, and be present in everything that you do.
Find and follow what moves you to be happy and peaceful in this life.
Just remember to keep your hearts and your minds open to all that the world has to offer. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other.
Be kind. Stay focused. Be humble.
Remember to push yourself, but don't push yourself too hard.
Travel while you're young. Leave every place you go a little better than you found it.
Practice great dental hygiene.
Don't forget that life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Do what you love and love what you do.
And never ever lose confidence in yourself.
Go move mountains and know that you have made us all very proud.
You are all superstars. You're graduating from the best university in the world.
Congratulations, class of 2021.
I'm so proud of you today and always.
There's no doubt in our minds that you're going to go out and continue to just make our world the best that it can be.
I can't wait to see all of the great things that you're going to do with your life.
We can't wait to see what your future holds.
Good luck in the future, and I hope to follow in your footsteps.
Congratulations!
Bravo!
Congrats to the class of 2021.
Here's to your future. Keep following your dreams, and forever Duke!